Hi, Dr. Katie here. I want to talk about sugar and why sugar is so hard to kick and why it feels like we're addicted to it. Basically, it's because we are. Sugar is a fine white powder that it goes through a refining process. It comes from a plant, whether that's sugarcane or beets or corn, whatever that is, they refine it down to a fine white powder. Okay. Very similar to the way drugs like heroin or cocaine are refined down into a fine white powder. And they have actually done MRI studies of human brains consuming sugar and consuming drugs, and the same areas of the brain light up in very much the same way. Okay, so sugar is basically stimulating our brains much like drugs do. And they stimulate those dopamine centers. The dopamine is this feel good chemical in your brain, a neurotransmitter. And when we consume those substances, our brain is lit up and like, ooh, this feels good. I want more. Okay. And so we get hooked on it, right? Evolutionarily speaking, we're wired, our taste buds are wired to seek out and enjoy those sweet, sweet and like high fatty foods because back when we were foraging and hunting and whatever, food wasn't readily available like it is to us today. When we found something that was sweet or high in fat, that meant it was more calorically dense, and we needed to remember where it was and eat more of it for our survival to not starve to death, right? Problem is now we're in a hyper palatable and hyper available environment is in terms of our food. Like there's so much food around us, and I'm talking about like first world countries, Western society, and food is readily available and it's all hyper palatable, which means it's really, really tasty. Okay. And it's been like designed to be really, really tasty so that we buy more of it and eat more of it. So our environment is now mismatched with how we're biologically designed, and it's making us fat, basically. And so sugar, again, we're kind of like wired to seek that out, and our brains react to it, as like this feel good thing because it at one time was ensuring our survival. But now that there's too much of it, it's hard to override kind of those biological wiring that we have. So sugar, addictive. And basically, if you think about how a drug addict is going to recover and become, heal his brain from that addiction, what do they have to do? They have to abstain. Like they have to get clean. They have to get that substance out of their body and out of their brain for their brain to heal. All right. And so, same approach to sugar. Like there is zero benefit health wise to sugar, emotional wise too. Like even us who are emotionally eating, turning to sweets to help us like feel comfort and feel better. Science actually shows that you feel better for a minute, but then you actually feel worse after. So there's really no benefit of sugar in our bodies. And so we just, in order to heal from it, we need to get it out of our diets. And there's it's easier said than done, but it comes to the right approach and the right support and the right kind of brain rewiring to be able to get clean of that and not miss it and not have cravings anymore and not have food thoughts that are driving us to go get that sugary thing anymore. Like there is a way to make that happen. But for now, let's try and reduce our sugar intake.